Well, hello. With just 24 hours until the trade deadline, we have news. 1 year and 2 days after the stunning move that sent 10-time All-Star Anthony Davis to Dallas, he is headed to the Washington Wizards, according to our senior insider, Shams Charania. Chris Middleton is among the players headed to Texas. Shams, he is the busiest man in the business right now, and we get him for just a couple of minutes between calls. So, Shams, let's get right to it. How did this trade come together?
Malika, the Washington Wizards seized an opportunity, and they clearly have stopped and ended their deconstruction period. But today, they were canvassing the league. Anthony Davis and Domantas Sabonis were atop their targets, and they had a window today to get AD, the future Hall of Fame big man, at the cost of 2 first-round picks, 3 seconds. But most importantly, they delivered Dallas a lot of flexibility moving forward. As our Bobby Marks said, they are now out of the aprons. They're out of the tax this year and moving forward, all to finally move forward with this organization 1 year after the Luka Doncic for AD trade. They're going to go all in and build around Cooper Flagg. Listen, we all know when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's one of the best big men in the league. It's just when he can get there, and we'll see if he can with the Wizards. But now you look at it. Anthony Davis, Trae Young, that's a devastating pick and roll duo. And then Alex Sarr has come on as one of the good young defensive big men. So you have a big men combination of Alex Sarr and Anthony Davis in that front court. This is a Wizards group that is turning the page and moving forward and is expected to have a high pick in this year's draft as well.
Oh, and you have to imagine that Anthony Davis now gets to play his preferred position. He gets to be the 4 while Alex Sarr is the 5. Shams, I already see you working. You go. We'll see you back here in a little bit. But it is good to be back here with Brian Windhorst, Shanae Agumake, Bobby Marks, my man Mark Spears. Y'all are twinning over there with the glasses and the outfit.
Yeah.
Guys, we've already had a very busy morning, so let's just all...
Good news for Dallas is they have Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg looks spectacular. Focus on that. As Shams said, this is all about the price. The price for Anthony Davis is next to rock bottom. This is a glorified salary dump.
But couldn't they have waited, and could his price have gone up? Could they have gotten more in return?
I don't think so. Okay. I think they evaluated that the price for Anthony Davis is very low, and this is not an insult to Anthony Davis. This is just the reality. They did get 2 first-round picks in name, but the one pick is Oklahoma City's pick. That is very likely going to be the 30th pick in this year's draft. If they're passed by the Pistons, maybe 29th. The other pick that they got is top 20 protected 4 years from now. Okay, then the second-round picks. Basically, this was a salary dump, and Washington just couldn't say no to this. And so Washington is just doing something that is hard to do. They're going to be in a tank, and so I expect Anthony Davis to barely play at all this year, like Trae Young is going to play. And then as soon as
Trae Young's going to play at all this year,
they cannot, because their pick is top 8 protected. And as soon as they get that pick top 8 protected, they're going to flip the car around and say, okay, here we go. Let's go next year. We're going to go. Here comes Trae Young. Here comes Anthony Davis. They're going to be magically healthy, and they're going to have a nice high draft pick, and they're going to be ready to go.
The team has been unlocked.
So this is sort of ideal for Washington, and this is kind of what Utah did yesterday. They're going to try to do the same flip as well. They're going to continue tanking and do the flip. That's ideally what you do, and that's what this trade deadline is about.
It's a bold strategy. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never seen a team go out and trade for 2 all-stars who are injured to keep their own pick this year, and then basically flip that rebuild to next year and hit the ground running. Can you imagine a healthy Anthony Davis and Trae Young, and then getting a top 5 pick with already Alex Sarr and Bilal Coulibaly and Trey Johnson here? As Brian has said, it's pre-free agency, and I think for Dallas, listen, Dallas had 2 ways to go here. They could have gone the way of acquiring a long-term salary and spin the wheels competing for the play-in, or wipe it clean, build the roster on Cooper Flagg, build up their draft assets. As Brian said, you get out of the aprons here and you move forward with a lottery pick in June.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I really want to focus on the Wizards. I want to focus on the Wizards here. We all know what is going on with Dallas. They're going to rebuild around Cooper Flagg. But for the Wizards, it finally seems like they have a sense of urgency to try to compete. And you're like, how do they normally get these types of all-stars? Well, they have to do moves like this to land these players. And unfortunately, sometimes they have injuries or they have deficiencies. But I do like the pairing. Because Trae Young, we all know he can score, but also one of the best assisters in the NBA. And his biggest issue is defense. Having Anthony Davis behind him sort of masks that liability. And also, he's a pick-and-pop big, so 1-2 punch. It's a good look.
So what happens with Kyrie Irving now, right? Is he next?
Right, that's the question.
Doesn't look so.
Okay.
It's almost a year till he had his ACL injury, and I talked to his agent, Shatalia Irving, just a second ago. She said that Kyrie is just processing the changes, and he's still committed to Dallas. Source close to the Mavericks told me that they believe Kyrie is still committed to the Mavericks as well. Obviously, there's 24 hours to go. A lot could happen, but Kyrie's working out.
Yeah.
We'll see if he plays. Ms. Irving didn't give me any idea when he could be back.
Okay.
But in terms of his situation with Dallas now,
They shouldn't
he
bring him
hasn't
back.
asked out.
They shouldn't bring him back. They shouldn't win.
Yeah.
Everybody should tank involved here. And quite frankly, they don't have to trade Kyrie because they've done the hard work. The biggest problem that Dallas had was they were looking at massive luxury tax payments for next year on a team that was no longer properly built.
Right.
They can bring Kyrie back next year, see how he does with Cooper Flag. And if they don't like the fit, they can trade Kyrie then.
I guess the question that I still come back to for Anthony Davis, though, is the same things that Kyrie Irving being committed to Dallas, Anthony Davis seemed committed to Dallas. He said so publicly, he said so privately. So why the Dallas Mavericks would trade him to the Washington Wizards, no matter how exciting that pair is, it's an exciting pair deferred. It's not going to happen right now. It may not happen this season. Anthony Davis still wanted to contend for a championship. The Wizards are far away from that. Why Washington?
Because Cooper Flag is so freaking good, and there is no reason to look backward to the team that they built a year ago. I know that sounds crazy because they traded Luka Doncic, and Nico said we're going to win a title in the next 3 years. Well,
Yes.
guess what? When they won the lottery, everything changed. Cooper Flag, and this is the thing. I know that Maverick fans are probably really upset, and they're like, well, this is just drama. Again, we're giving up. We're doing a salary dump a year after.
Drama.
But that you have Cooper Flag. Did you guys see what Cooper Flag's done the last 3 games?
Yes, we have.
He's crushing it. Their future is so bright. The Wizards' future is so bright. Everybody be happy. Just don't watch what happens the rest of this season.
All right, that's Brian. You know what? We all need a little bit more happiness in the world in general right now. So we're going to heed your advice there. And TikTok, it has been a busy deadline, and we are still 23 hours and 52 minutes away from the actual deadline coming to fruition. And within the last couple of minutes, we had another move. Shams keeping the breaking news going as the deadline approaches. The Chicago Bulls, they are trading Kobe White and Mike Conley Jr., who they just acquired, to the Charlotte Hornets for Colin Sexton. As Sexton here, 3 second-round picks as well. Bobby, break this down for us. What does this mean?
So for Charlotte, they prioritized Kobe White in free agency. He was going to be a free agent this offseason. They wouldn't been able to sign him. So pre-free agency is the theme. They go out and acquire him right now. The hottest team in the NBA, 23 and 28. I'm not going to say this is for the playoff run, but I think this is more for a move to re-sign him in the offseason here, and you get rid of Colin Sexton, who's been good for them, and also you capitalize on trading some future picks down the road.
Okay, so I don't know how many guards that the Bulls are going to trade for this week, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on this move for Charlotte. This is Charlotte also ramping up. Okay,
Yep.
They aren't doing it in such a dramatic fashion like the Wizards and the Jazz are, but here are teams that have been at the bottom 4 years now. Utah, Washington, Charlotte. Buying, and here they come, more for 2026-27, but Kobe White is a spark plug. This guy can score, and of course, he's got North Carolina roots.
Yeah.
If you're a Tar Heel fan, you are excited to see Kobe White come back and probably to be a Hornet for years into the future.
We got news moving fast and furious here. Within the last 90 minutes, we have more for you because Oklahoma City solidified their shooting.
Crazy.
Jared McCain joining the Champs in exchange for one of their many picks. It's a late first rounder in this draft. The Thunder, they've been hopeful to get back to where he was, right, pre-meniscus tear. That's what they're looking for from Jared McCain when he was a Rookie of the Year frontrunner. But, Mark, the Thunder are the -- 1 team in the NBA. Why did they feel the need, do you think, to make this move?
Well, SGA just got hurt, right? So let's see how late he's going to be out. It's not a great injury that he has. I don't think that he turns around quick from that, so I guess that gives him some extra stability until he comes back. But McCain's a talent. You know, I was with the Sixers last night, and I'm in that locker room and saw all these guards. He was expendable. But when he was healthy last year, and I talked to their coach he was like, hey, he thought he was a starter until he got hurt. So that's a good pickup for the Thunder.
With a number of their star players, as you're mentioning, hurt, this has been an assessment period for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And since January 1st, they've been shooting 34% from 3. So I do believe that's a need that they probably want to bolster, and that's why they sort of make this look.
I don't think Jared McCain comes in and replaces SGA with an abdominal injury here. But the Thunder, to me, it says we needed to look around and gear up here, Bobby. What does it say to you?
It's a different strategy they've taken. They've always kind of consolidated their draft picks for other draft picks. Now they have consolidated their draft picks for players here, and they added a player that's 21 years old. Here's an Oklahoma City team, never paid the luxury tax at all, 165 and 50 in the last 3 years, right? And now you add a 21-year-old McCain to this roster.
And now they still have how many more picks?
Let's talk about pre-agency. There's something else called the secondary draft. That's what this is. You take a player still on rookie contract, sort of draft him in this situation. I also want to point out that, Oklahoma City, they are in a position where they can take risks on players like this. People in the league think this is an absolute steal. This is the Thunder doing the Thunder stuff again.
We have pre-agency, we have the trade deadline still coming up, and there is still more coming down the pipeline. Could Draymond Green be on the move? Hear from Green in his own words on the possible end of an era, and our insiders, they weigh in on how likely it is that actually happens. Plus, James Harden, he spoke exclusively to our Ramona Shelburne after being traded to the Cavaliers, what he said about the Cavs' title hopes, and our insiders on if the Clippers are done dealing. Janae, how is it we've already had such a busy morning and the clock is still ticking down?
Team no sleep over here, y'all.
Day to go. Don't worry, though. NBA Today. We're under 24 hours away from the trade deadline, and the market is certainly heating up. Our Shams Charania is back with us now. And Shams, you broke the news yesterday that James Harden is headed to Cleveland, Darius Garland headed to Los Angeles. So can you just peel back the curtain on us for the thinking on each franchise on making this kind of move?
So, Malika, all of this was started with James Harden. He essentially had a mutual option for next season, and the way he's been playing in this recent Clippers surge, he held the Clippers' feet to the fire in a lot of ways to see, is there a commitment beyond this season? Is there a longer-term future for him? And nothing, to my understanding, was promised next season and beyond. And so James Harden made it clear that he wanted a win-now opportunity, somewhere where he could have a longer-term future. He viewed the Cleveland Cavaliers as having fit both of those criterias. And so both sides worked on finding a mutually beneficial path forward. I think there's a lot of respect built up over the last couple of years between the Clippers and James Harden. So that's where Darius Garland and the Cavaliers come in. Darius Garland, 26 years old. James Harden is 36. So to have a star-for-star trade with this type of age gap, the Clippers really believe that Darius Garland has the youth, has the upside that helps them now and be competitive now, but mostly for the long term. And it's obvious with every move the Cavs make, they're trying to compete for a championship around Donovan Mitchell. This week, they've gotten Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder. Now they round it out with James Harden.
And thus, we have a little point guard swap. Shams, thank you. We'll let you get back to work. Kudos to our Ramona Shelburne, because I hear what we're reporting here, but also James Harden, Ramona got some time with him exclusively last night. And this is really interesting because, as Shams is saying, James Harden wants to win. But James was asked if he demanded a trade, and this is what he said. He said, quote, "That wasn't the case at all. In life, not even basketball, but when things don't work out, there are ways to end relationships without having to crack each other. And as much as I wanted to stay in LA and give it a go, I've never won one before. As a basketball mind, I think we," and he means Cleveland there, "have a better chance." So, Brian, decipher this for me. What does this acquisition mean to you?
Well, from Harden's perspective, I do think that he does have a better chance in Cleveland. I agree with that. But this was money-driven, as Shams said. I know everybody wants to put their spin on it, and I respect that. Cleveland's situation, they have been looking at a 4 or 5 year window with this group of young players that they all signed to long contracts. They are now looking at it basically as a 2 year window. Harden and Donovan Mitchell over the next couple of years, they want to go for it. I think the interesting thing that he said also in these comments to Ramona is that he wanted to give the Clippers a chance on a little bit of a rebuild. Now, that word rebuild set off little alarm bells around me. So I checked in with that, and I was told the Clippers are not rebuilding.
Okay, so this is the quote. He said, quote, "I didn't want to feel like I was holding the Clippers up in their future. I wanted them to actually have a chance, ding, 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 to rebuild and get some draft capital."
Don't like that word. That word's a little bit worrisome, because if James Harden thought they were rebuilding and wanted to get out in front of it, you're like, wait a minute. So I checked in. The Clippers are not rebuilding. But if you want to call them and offer them something that they think that can help them longer term, because they got the oldest team in the league, and you want to offer them a two-time All-Star like Darius Garland, I think that they will listen. The two players that we're talking about here, without saying the names, are Ivica Zubac, who's, excellent center, defensive center, and Kawhi Leonard. I don't think either of those players are going to move, but obviously the Clippers are making, clear with their actions here that they're going to take a call and listen. And if not now, maybe they visit that in the summer.
Yeah, I think they benefit from it. I think that both the Clippers, we're not talking about it because everybody's so focused on James Harden and Spider Mitchell, right? But when you look at the Clippers on paper, I like Zubac and Darius Garland in the pick and roll. I like that tag man being Kawhi Leonard, and then you have to deal with an ISO with Kawhi Leonard over there. I think Zubac is one of the throwback bigs that we have in this league, and I think he's going to make it go. So I think that T. Lue sees a little something over there, and they can work it over there. He's going to be 26 years old coming in, like you were saying, 10 years on his legs. I think you're a happy camper over there.
I think the question has to be, when you look at the last 3 seasons, Darius Garland, he's missed 57 games. James Harden has missed 18 games, and that's going to be the question, right?
It's the NBA.
Right.
Like, we don't talk about it enough, but it's like for these guys to go out here and give you the stat lines that you want them to go out here and run through a wall for you, but then you don't want them to be hurt. And it's like, it's a lot of basketball to be played. Guys are going to get hurt. If guys do the preparation in the summer, if guys are locked in with their training staff, guys will come back. But expect guys to miss some time. That's okay. Just get healthy by the time playoffs come. Make sure your record is ready for the playoffs, and then do something.
Well, that has been the problem for Cleveland, the do-something part in the playoffs over the last couple of years. And so now they've made a move. Chiney, how do you see this James Harden, Donovan Mitchell backcourt looking?
Y'all, we got a big trade. You know what that means? We got to go to the big board. Let's do it, y'all. I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm hyped because the deadline is near here. We've seen so many different versions of the beard. We've seen the 6-man. We've seen the MVP. We've seen the system. But the latest, greatest version of James Harden is the facilitator. And I know a lot of people want to focus on the post. Rightfully so, but I actually want to focus on the guard and how he will play alongside Donovan Mitchell. So I have some tape for you to see on James Harden's impact. James Harden gets double-teamed more than Darius Garland, which means he's going to attract multiple defenders. That allows Donovan Mitchell to hopefully get easier, better looks. He averages 25 points per game, clearly 8 assists. He's going to create some options. Just a quick, easy read for Kawhi. That's going to be done getting to the mid-range. But also, he's a tremendously gifted passer right here. The entire defense bends. He has you on his heels. And then beautiful swing action to get an easy open look. Donovan Mitchell is shooting 38% from 3 on 29 points per game. So these looks are what James Harden will generate for Cleveland. But also, James Harden has plenty of experience playing alongside players that need the ball. Because Donovan and Kawhi have quite similar usages, this is something that James is used to, and I feel like that's why he feels like it's a plug-and-play potentially for him going to Cleveland. Are we awake now? Are we hyped?
We up now.
Okay, good.
Well, I also feel like, I mean, when you look at James Harden and what he does, he's experienced next to the Zubac's of the world, the Clint Capellas of the world. When you look at the bigs that he's played with, and now, Shump, he's got Evan Mobley that he's playing with. He has Jared Allen that he's playing with. What does that unlock for Cleveland?
I mean, again, my biggest problem with the whole thing is what are you going to do on the defensive end? I know what James is going to add offensively. I think that Evan Mobley becomes a lot more aggressive. Well, it's going to seem that way because he's going to get a lot more shots. I think that he's also going to be able to slash. We don't talk about the horns action that James likes to run, where he brings both bigs up, and you have to respect it. That opens the floor so much when you're playing against him. You never know which way he's going to go because he does that little dribble hesitation through the legs cross, and then he gets you in that foul trouble. So he does a lot of things that keeps the defense not able to be honest, and you have to play it however he wants it. I think that Donovan Mitchell just has to wait long enough to understand how to attack that.
I just think availability matters in the NBA, and we've all said along Cleveland will be judged in May and June as far as where they are. And since that Miami series last year, Darius Garland has been injured. He's tried to come back from that surgery here, and as you mentioned, the numbers between James Harden and Darius Garland, you get an established 36-year-old clutch player. Now we can debate in 7 games, but a guy who's seasoned in the playoffs here with Donovan Mitchell here. And I think, Chiney, you hit it right on the head. Like that was my biggest question, the usage. When you have Mitchell and now Harden, you just won your case.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
The Cavs have like 300-some-odd million invested in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And this is really not only an investment in Donovan, but this is a continued investment in those guys because Harden has reliably gotten great production out of the big men he's played with.
Without a doubt.
And that is going to be that for Cleveland. This was clearly saying one thing. We know that Donovan Mitchell has given us the best years outside of LeBron James that we have seen maybe ever. We need to sign him to an extension. What moves can we make to make sure that happens this offseason? James Harden is one of them. Still, the entire league has been waiting and waiting and waiting to see if it falls. So back here with our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania. Shams, the entire basketball world is wondering, where do things stand between Giannis and the Bucks right now?
Malika, right now, Bucks general manager John Horst, ownership, other high-ranking team officials, they're all sifting through the most aggressive offers for Giannis in trades. They've opened up conversations really for the last 7 to 10 days. And to put it plainly, the Bucks are fully aware, Malika, that Giannis is ready for an exit from the franchise, whether it's right now or in the offseason. Right now, the Bucks are operating with a tremendous amount of leverage. He's got a year and a half left on his deal. That's 2 playoff runs if he were to be traded. So John Horst right now has a decision to make. Is there a risk reward toward doing a deal now at the deadline or waiting in the offseason? Of course, as it's been termed to me, the writing seemingly on the wall. So, one path could be trading him now, but if you wait for the summer, Giannis will be essentially an expiring contract, being able to have a level of say-so on, I want to play here, or I want to play there. And any team that wants to trade for Giannis will want to know he wants to be long-term. And the other side to all this, as Bobby can lay out perfectly, is the Bucks have some level of control of their pick and having a high draft pick this year. And Giannis wants to play the second half of the season. And Giannis will lead to wins, and he wants to compete for a championship. So how do the Bucks handle the potential conflict that could be at play after the All-Star break or after the trade deadline when Giannis is ready to play and the franchise might be going another way?
The writing is on the wall, as you say, but this is incredibly complicated. Shams, thank you so very much for laying all of that out. And it's made even more complex by this, right? Giannis told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel yesterday, quote, if you ask me, what do I really want deep down in my heart? He said, I want to be a Milwaukee Buck until I retire and win a championship here. That's what he said yesterday, folks. And he continued, right? He said, if that is not possible to happen, and if then you realize maybe it's not the case and maybe they're looking elsewhere and that's not what they're trying to do, then automatically you have to be in the plans of what they're trying to do or weigh the other options. It's normal. I always listen and trust. But what I'm saying, or what I'm trying to say, is how many chances do I have left to win a championship? So you just got to be more careful and more urgent in every decision that you make moving forward. Shump, what? What?
He said, I want to leave. I just don't want it to be my fault. That's it. That's all I heard. Like, I get the whole, like, because I think James did it too, right? They give you this, like, elaborate answer to, like, tell you, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know y'all kind of mad, but it's like, we get it. You wanted to leave. You're going to get out. We respect your body of work. You play hard. We're not worried about you. You play hard. You know what I mean? Like, long as you guys play hard out there, we're not going to get mad at you if you ask for a trade. Time's up.
Shump, what movie were we talking about in the break?
Which one?
Come on. The Dark Knight.
Batman.
We're talking about The Dark Knight, and Giannis is the hero of Milwaukee. But there's a quote, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. It's okay to be a hero and to be so great that you become the villain because you went out. You accomplished everything that Milwaukee needed.
He Batman?
No, he Batman, Superman, all of them. All of them. And at some point, you're going to make the wrong people or the right people unhappy. And it's okay. It's okay. I think he's trying to handle this as politically correct and polite as possible. But if you went out and you can find yourself in a situation where you have said countless times over the past 3 years, I want to win a championship. You have power in this to flex and dictate, and don't let that go for granted, as I point to Wendy, who's holding up the sign.
This is I don't know if they can see it on TV. This is the only thing that matters.
You got to use darker markers.
I appreciate everything that he said. 4 years, $275 million. Giannis, are you signing the extension with Milwaukee? Yes, then you're not going anywhere. No, then you're going to get traded. Everything else is just making everybody feel nice. There's nothing else needs to be said. That is the only question. I've heard everything he said. With all due respect, the only question that matters, will you sign the extension in the offseason or not? That's it. Everything else, I don't want to hear.
Oh, you turned up today. I love it. I love it when he turned.
I keep on looking at that clock behind me.
Yep.
tick, tick, tick.
It's going slower.
Next 8 hours.
It's going slower.
We're going to know if there's a Giannis deal.
In the next 8 hours.
I've been part of these. These are complex. Unless it's going to be Golden State, which is basically the easiest way to do a deal, there's a lot of moving parts here. And I think there's going to have to be a framework of a Giannis-type trade by midnight tonight for something to happen by tomorrow.
But, Wendy, you just said something. All that matters is the 4 years, 275, right? But if you sign that extension in Milwaukee, haven't we, and I say we as if you're a member of the Bucks organization, exhausted so many options to see if you can bring that championship there?
Yes.
Shouldn't the answer be already known? Meaning
Yes.
you want to get out.
You know what? The answer is already known.
Okay.
Okay? That's why they're negotiating. The answer is already known.
But Bobby said the magic words, or maybe the magic franchise, if we're going to see a deal done in the next 8 hours, it seems that would be Golden State.
I don't know about that. Minnesota's offer, they have to kind of put it together. Okay. Miami has an offer that they could take. I think Golden State's offer is better because the unprotected picks post Steph I value more. But the Miami offer, which has young players and a couple of draft picks in it, they could take that offer. And especially if Giannis wants to do it. But it really comes down to why would they trade him if they don't have to trade him? If they can string this out more, he's not forcing it. So if he's not forcing it, it benefits the team to try to wait till the summer.
That's true, but it contradicts what he wants to win a championship, and you should use your power to dictate where you want to go. Because when I'm thinking about it, Miami, I'm not sure. The East is wide open, but do you have enough of the pieces? Are you going to attract people there to win? Or can you go and start thinking about Ant or Steph? And okay, if the possibility is now, we have 8 hours and counting.
I also think
this is the time.
I also think we should point out that we've had a couple of surprise trades. We did not know that Utah was going to make this deal for Jaren Jackson. Those of us in the information business, we did not know, except for a very short heads up, that Washington was going to make this deal. It is possible there's another offer that we don't know about that Milwaukee has. Just to be clear,
it feels like though we've all been, as people in the information business, hearing about Golden State and them looking to continue to capitalize around the window of Steph Curry for a while now, and that's gotten more urgent. The Warriors, they fell last night 113-94 to the 76ers. They dropped to 4-8 without Steph Curry this season. And Draymond Green, he scored 6 points in his 923rd career game, all with the Warriors. But post-game, things took a little bit of a turn here. Draymond Green, he talked about the possibility of this being his last game with Golden State.
I think a lot of people want to know, how I feel about it. Am I upset about it? Or, I'm not at all. I don't. If that's what's best for this organization, that's what's best for the organization. I'm not oh, man, they me over or something like that. I don't really feel that way. I've been here for 13 and a half years. I don't know that it ends at 13 and a half, but if it does, what a run it's been. I'll take the fine for it. What a run it's been. So that's just how I feel.
I don't know that they're going to find Draymond for that, but whoa. That's not what I was expecting to hear from Draymond Green post-game. But, Mark, you were there. You got a chance to talk to Draymond one-on-one. What did you learn?
Well, I talked to him before the game. This is a guy I met in 2012 when he was a second-round pick coming off the bench in Summer League, who turned that into $225 million.
Yeah.
So I asked him before the game, how do you feel? And he's like, and I'm reading, he said, if someone walked up to me 13 years ago and said, would you sign up for this? I would sign up for it. And they walked up to me and asked me would I sign up for it now? I would sign up for it. And he said that he knows this is a business. The business gets everybody at some point. It just depends on how it gets you, which I know Shump likes that line. It's good for me to have 13 and a half years here, so why would I worry about it? And I said, well, what about your wife? His son had walked into the locker room. He said, my family's not worried about it, but I do find it interesting that Hazel Renee was in the press conference watching it afterwards, which she has never done. I also talked to Kuminga, who's interested in this as well. He's very much curious about wanting to go. He'd still love to go. He said his knee's getting better. He started working out. And I said, well, how would you feel if you're still here on Thursday? And he goes, God's plan, God's plan.
All right, so Draymond Green ready to accept whatever happens. Jonathan Kuminga hoping to see some action
he'll walk
here.
to Milwaukee.
Well, if his knee allows him to. Bobby Marks is at the touchscreen. Bobby, if the Warriors and Milwaukee Bucks are to strike a deal here, would Draymond Green need to be in it?
He would, unless you're going to include Jimmy Butler here. And it's really, as complex as the CBA is, it's simple math here. When you're looking at Draymond, who makes close to 26, remember this is a second apron team. They cannot take back more money in a deal here. When you look at Draymond, and we're going to add Jonathan Kuminga, and let's put Moses Moody in here. Those three players work. If you didn't include Draymond, you're going to have to put Jimmy Butler in the trade. So the three players there. I think this is going to be the most important thing in this trade is the picks, 2026, 28, 30, and 32. Those would go to Milwaukee here. And when you look at that type of trade, it certainly works. Green, Kuminga, Moody. Green can certainly be rerouted somewhere else. And then as we talked about, all these draft picks for a Golden State team that will have Giannis and Steph Curry with Jimmy Butler out until probably next February.
Shump, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, do you make the deal in the next 8 hours, as Bobby Mark said? That's the timeline we're working with?
If I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, no, I'm not helping. I don't like helping people like that. That's a lot of help. I ain't gonna lie. That's a lot of help that you're giving over there to Golden State, and I'm not one of those guys. I'm a super competitor. They better be glad I ain't the GM, but I do hope it happens as a fan.
Well, that's why you send him west as opposed to keeping him in the Eastern Conference like somewhere like Miami.
If you ever want to win, you got to deal with them.
All right. Well, there you go. Amazingly, we still have some action. We are back with some more news. The Los Angeles Clippers, Brooklyn Nets, and Toronto Raptors, they've agreed on a multi-year deal. Chris Paul is back in the NBA. He heads to the Toronto Raptors, Ochai Agbaji, and a 22-32 Raptors pick, all on the move here. Chris Paul is back, though, Aman. We'd hoped that this would happen. Your reaction, sir?
Hey, Chris Paul can help a lot of teams. Again, the question, it's the same thing with James Harden. The age bothers you, you know what I'm saying? Is he going to stay healthy? But when you have veteran leadership and somebody that can help your locker room, you have guys that can help massage what the Raptors are already doing. They came out blazing. They've had a couple of hot streaks this year, doing things that we didn't expect them to do, at least not me on paper. So when I add a Chris Paul over there, I think that they get better. I think that they take steps forward. I think that they feel a lot. I would feel a lot safer as a coach knowing I have a Chris Paul on my bench when it comes time for playoffs.
So happy for Chris Paul that he's going to be back in the league. I'm going to wait and see. There's more moving pieces happening here. I mean, Brooklyn, I expect to be involved in multiple deals over the next 24 hours. I want to see where everything falls here before I see how this would actually work. But I'm happy for Chris Paul. This is what he wanted. He really didn't care where he goes as long as he gets back in the league.
And if it is a spot that he stays at, I like this because this is a team that's trying to earn their stripes in the Eastern Conference. Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram having great years so far. And I do think when the going gets tough, they need someone to help have a coach on the floor.
Yep.
And so these are guys that win and they compete the hard way. They built their own identity. They've turned around and they've exceeded expectations. And I think Chris will add so much institutional knowledge to this new version of the Toronto Raptors.
And I want to add a small wrinkle. They have all season now made it to where Chris Paul is the scapegoat. He's the problem. Clearly, there's something else going on behind the scenes. So now you get a fresh-minded Chris Paul. He's coming out of this situation.
And competitive, like we're going to prove some people.
You've been holding him back. I want to see what he does. He's a competitor.
Absolutely, and it's a great thing that Chris Paul is back in the NBA. All right, we got some games tonight. Still, we'll be approaching. We're back here with our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania. And Shams, you just broke that Chris Paul has been moved to the Raptors, but actually, wait, not so fast. Where is actually he headed, and what does this mean for the point guard?
Malika, 3-team trade here, but this is really just a salary tax type of deal. It's between the Brooklyn Nets, Toronto Raptors, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Chris Paul being the biggest name player in that. He's going to Toronto. That allows the Clippers to save $7 million in luxury tax, create a roster spot. Toronto will not have Chris Paul report. Chris Paul will never step foot in a game with the Raptors. They are expected to either trade or waive him by tomorrow or after the deadline. And for the Brooklyn Nets in all of this, they get Ochai Agbaji, the former first-round draft pick, and he's going to go with a 2032 Raptors second rounder to Brooklyn. They're also getting $3.5 million in salary. So for the Nets, this is just about taking on a player with an additional asset. And the Raptors also fully get out of the luxury tax. So a full-on salary tax deal. Chris Paul will not be playing for Toronto.
Okay, so this is a full-on salary deal. I think a lot of people are wondering, does this mean Chris Paul is going to be back in the league, or is it too soon to know right now, Shams?
It will not be for Toronto, and I think when I talk to teams around the league, his NBA future obviously very much up in the air. It's not certain whether he's going to play again in the NBA as of right now.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. I want to get some other news with you while we have you. Yesterday, the Grizzlies, they traded Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Utah Jazz. We're going to have so much more in our trade deadline special. But back here with Shams, what does this mean for the future of Ja Morant in Memphis?
The Grizzlies are continuing to discuss Ja Morant deals in the lead up to Thursday's NBA trade deadline with multiple teams. The one thing that the Jaren Jackson Jr. deal did open up for the Grizzlies is the ability now they can take back bad salary, essentially, from other teams with assets to figure out a Ja Morant trade. That's not something they could have done yesterday. But, you know, the market right now, a lot of it is on hold with Giannis Antetokounmpo. But this is a Grizzlies team that does have 2 years more of team control on Ja Morant's contract. So if the deal doesn't come back to them by the deadline tomorrow, they could also keep Ja Morant past the deadline. But these talks will continue to heat up between now and Thursday.
Okay, so that's what could happen. What has happened is Anthony Davis is headed to the Washington Wizards. So, Shams, before we let you go, what's the most important thing to know about this deal?
Trae Young and Anthony Davis, pick and roll. I think the entire NBA, it's not something that they had on their big bingo board or whatever board you're talking about a month ago, but the Wizards have just taken an opportunistic approach. They've got a ton of draft capital, a ton of asset, a ton of flexibility. So they went out and got Trae Young essentially for a couple of contracts. They go out and get Anthony Davis for basically 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks, which for the Mavericks completely allows them to flush the salaries out, get out of the taxes, get out of the aprons. They can now fully rebuild around Cooper Flag. So 2 deals that help both sides. But the Wizards are clearly trying to compete starting next season. And I think there is a lot of excitement in that organization about Alex Sarr, Anthony Davis, and Trae Young.
Shams, thank you very much for the insight. What I wish for you over the next 24 hours is maybe 2-3 hours of that for that to be sleep. Thank you so very much for the time. We appreciate
no.
you, my friend. I know he said, nah, that's not going to happen. Before we get to the teams that need to make a move here with about 3 minutes left in show, Bobby, we went from saying, oh, okay, Chris Paul is back to wait, not so fast. And I think for a lot of fans out there, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got to be waived by March 1st for him to be playoff eligible. I would think that's going to happen in Toronto. It would probably be by the end of the week if there's not another deal here for Chris Paul. And, you know, we talked about Dallas. You know, that was my team to watch before they traded Anthony Davis before the deal. I would keep an eye on for Daniel Gafford.
Okay.
I would keep an eye on for him. I think there's a little bit of an arms race for centers. Gafford, Zubac, Rudy Gobert, potentially. Sabonis in Sacramento. Toronto needs a center. I don't want to do the windy.
You're already starting to make the windy hands. Brian, the team that you were watching that we're going to be talking about tomorrow in our 4-hour trade deadline.
Other than Milwaukee, Minnesota, if they don't do a Giannis deal, what will they do to try to bolster their team for the second half of the season?
Yeah, and now that you're saying that he might get waived.
Chris Paul.